Oh, damn it. Hey, guys. Jeez, I'm sorry. Welcome to another episode of Nightmare Road. I, of course, am one of your hosts. Did I do the... Uh, I'm one of your hosts, Deacon, here with a very... My beard is really damn long, but very mysterious.
SOS, and here with a beautiful
Haywire, and America's favorite spy,
Dirty Birdie.
Dirty Birdie.
We're here, and we got sound on Decon tonight.
Don't say that, because you don't know how it's going to turn out.
Oh, it's going to turn out great. It's going to turn out great. We know that. Oh, geez, here we go. Yeah, sorry about the quality, the sound quality. We bought Decon a new mic, and it is not it's not good, is it?
Well, we don't. And also, guys, sorry about the way I look. I'm just very ugly.
Oh shit. So we have tonight. We're all picked different stories to talk about, and I can't wait to hear some of this stuff. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. Might be.
It might be, but you never know.
But you never know. I mean,
you never know.
It's like my grandfather always said. Here's a box of shards of glass, and then he told my brother, "Here's some band-aids. Now you two share."
God dang it! Oh, Grandpa. Okay, so who wants to go first?
Not it.
Not it? Uh-oh.
I have.
Okay, you want me to go?
Yeah.
So,
Go for it.
I have a story tonight about a kidnapping in 1976 in Central California. And this was bizarre. It was all over the news back then. I do remember hearing about this, watching it on TV. It was craziness. So 1976, Chowchilla, California. So Central Valley, California. There's a school class that they're at, I think, the fair. They go to a fair, and it was Dairyland Elementary School. And so the kids spend the day at the fair. They're coming back, and the whole bus is kidnapped.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the whole bus. Yeah, like, and so these three guys, masked guys that were armed, blocked the school bus, and they made the kids all get off the school bus and get into vans, 2 different vans. Then they take these kids to a quarry, and they have to go down a ladder into a truck trailer that's buried in a quarry. You remember this? Remember hearing about this?
Yep, I read that story when I was 13, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's bananas. So, I mean, a lot of people probably haven't heard about this, but these kids they were locked, they were underground, they were buried, alive, basically. They're alive, and I have a picture of the trailer, but it's where they were found, or where they actually ended up escaping. So this goes on. The kidnappers had, they were going to ransom these kids for millions of dollars. But it never came to that, because the kids ended up escaping. These kids were really smart, and they're brave. And they had an interview not too long ago with these kids, because these are little kids, you know. And
you put a bus driver in there too.
Well, yeah, the bus driver is in there too. I think he had some health problems or something, but
So it's just the comments that some people have made about the bus driver, because they were saying, like, couldn't the bus driver have helped out? And they're like, I've never seen him move fast unless he was going to go get a Pepsi. So I'm like, that useless bastard.
No. Well,
mean.
So they were taken 110 miles from the fairgrounds to this quarry. So nobody knew where they were. And, you know, there was a police search when the bus never showed up. Nobody knew where they were, but they were searching the route, and they were 110 miles away in this quarry that nobody would know. So the guys that kidnapped these kids, took the school bus and they put it off into a riverbed, and so you couldn't really even see it. There was a lot of willows and everything around there, so you couldn't see the bus. They ended up finding the bus from the air, from a helicopter. But it wasn't until after the kids got out. So they're in this trailer in this quarry underground, and the kids were taken, I think they were 12 hours before the guys had come back and given the kids like a bathroom break. And then they put them back in this trailer, and the kids there's some little kids in here, and they're scared. And you have the bus driver, and he's trying to keep everybody calm. But I can't even imagine how terrifying it was because it's so dark, and you're buried. So how long is that oxygen going to hold?
Yeah, that was a big concern. Was like, said, all right, everybody stay calm, because he was like afraid might use up all the oxygen. Plus, it was dark in there, so that bastard probably couldn't find a Pepsi, and he's like, I can't find a Pepsi.
There was no flashlights or anything in there?
No. So the kidnappers had made the trailer into like an underground bunker, and there were some mattresses, and there was like a bucket toilet that they finally provided to the kids. And there was a little bit of food and water, but there was, let's see. There was, that was pretty much it. There wasn't flashlights that I'm aware of. Finally, as they're in there and the kidnappers left, they didn't know when the kidnappers were going to come back. They didn't know they were underground. They had no idea because they were all blindfolded. They were, you know what I mean? So they had no idea what was going on. They didn't know they were underground, but finally they realized, or they knew that there was this hatch on the ceiling of this trailer that the kidnappers had made all the kids come down a ladder. So they took the ladder out when they left, and then they buried with heavy equipment, with the gravel and everything, this trailer. So finally the kids and the school bus driver, they stacked up the mattresses, and then the driver had held up one of the kids to see if he could open the hatch. So thankfully there wasn't enough material over the hatch that he couldn't keep pushing, and he finally got it open, and he slipped through the gravel, and then he took off, and he went to get help. And the kids were rescued, all of them alive. And the kidnappers never got their ransom. The demand was never even made because the kids had managed to escape so quickly. And as of 2022, all 3 kidnappers were paroled. Because this happened in 1976. They all ended up going in. Yeah. One of the kidnappers' dad owned the quarry, and so this was his mastermind to become.
Yeah, I was going to ask if they knew
the plan.
Yeah, I was going to ask if somebody wasn't in with the quarry, as in.
Yeah, well, his dad owned the quarry, but his dad didn't know anything about it. So they were coming in at night and making all of these plans and preparations and getting the trailer down, digging a hole and putting the trailer in. They had the vans when they kidnapped the kids, then they got them from the school bus into a van. The vans had painted black windows, and they had soundproofed the vans. So even though there was 2 vans full of children, it would be hard to hear those kids. Plus, these guys were armed, and these are kids, and they're terrified. So they're not making any noise,
Yeah. And one of the things that people need to understand is that how much effort it took to get that latch open, because they were sitting on top of mattresses and they had stacked them up. And the more weight pushed up, the more it goes down. So it took a lot of energy. And also these kids were running out of air because there was no way to get air in there. A couple of things. Number one, in the beginning, when he started talking about the story and he said the whole bus was kidnapped, I imagined another bus with a giant mask just going, and then what is he talking about?
I do think that there was another school bus full of kids kidnapped somewhere, like in Texas, but I don't think they made it out alive.
Yeah.
I want to say there was another story. Yeah.
No,
She's
this
not.
is so
She's
sad.
sad.
Like,
These guys, the kidnappers, were only like 22 and 24 years old, these three guys. They were really young. They did a lot of planning, but still, come on. It's like, what the hell were you guys thinking?
Fast money.
Yeah.
imagine like that's the plan you and your friends come up with. Like, how are we gonna get? Oh, let's kidnap a
That's
school
one of
bus
those
full of
plans where
children.
you sit with your buddies and you get sloshed and you're like, hey, let's go kidnap some kids.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, what are the rest of the steps? And they're like, we'll play it by ear. No.
We'll make it up as we go along.
Yeah, we'll make it up as we go along.
I wish the story would have ended different. Like somebody makes a movie about it. And I keep going back to that movie because that's one of the comments that always stuck with me. And it never left me. You know, just like
I think they did make a movie about this.
well, there we go. My movie's already one of them. One. The other one. Tom Hardy in. He wears
A Patreon exclusive.
Yeah, exactly.
Bus full of Pepsi.
I feel really bad for the kids. They had interviews with the kids now who are adults, and most of these kids suffered for most of their lives, and even some still today with panic attacks. They've had a lot of psychological issues because of what happened to them, even though, you know, best case scenario, everybody's, how terrifying was it, you know?
Yeah. Because it happened so, like, they were so young when that happened, so that happened. You know, their little confused brains don't know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's next? 'Cause this is...
All right, who's next? Taywar?
I have hellhounds barking. I don't know if you guys can hear them.
That's all right.
I heard it.
I didn't hear anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I found a story about some murderous, lesbian, incestuous sisters.
Oh boy.
A what? In a what?
So
Go ahead. Sorry.
this is in France in the 1930s is when the crime was committed. And it's with Christine and I think it's Leah, or maybe it's Leah, I forgot. Papin. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. But their upbringing was quite rough. Their parents got married because they were messing around and the wife got pregnant. And, well, she got pregnant and then they had to hurry and get married before the baby came. And it definitely wasn't like a marriage out of love. It was just total necessity. And then they ended up having 3 girls, Amelia, Christine, and Leah. And their mother was a hooer, for better terms. Like, she was messing around with the town, and so the dad was like, I'm having enough of this, we're leaving. And she was just like, you can't make me leave, I'll unalive myself if you make me leave. And he ended up moving the whole family. But they were deemed unfit parents because they were unfit parents. The dad would get drunk a lot, the mom was off, so the kids all got sent to aunts and uncles across both families. They ended up back with their parents for a short time, but the father had raped the oldest daughter, and then the mother had decided that the daughter had actually pursued the father, so she sent all the kids to the orphanage. And so they all lived there until they aged out. And that's kind of like the last time we hear of the oldest daughter. We then pick up with Christine. She gets a job with a family. I can't remember their last name. The Lancelin family. And the Lancelins, like, were the aristocrats. Like, you think of
like me,
like the Great Gatsby kind of family. Like, they were very much partiers and stuff like that, and just higher ups. Christine started working for them as a housemaid. She did a really good job. And then when her sister Leah was old enough to get out of the orphanage, she talked them into hiring her sister. And so they both worked there for several years. During this time, Mrs. Lancelin just started developing mental issues and took it out on Christine and Leah. So it would get worse and worse and worse, with the like high points of her getting mad at them and slamming their faces into the walls and stuff like that. And so then we're in 1930, and the Lancelin family, so the dad, the mom, and then their daughter, were supposed to be at a party. The dad gets to the party, and his wife and daughter never show up. And he stays there for hours before he decides to ask anyone if they've seen them, and just kind of see where they're at. They go home, and they find they find his wife and daughter dead. Their eyes are gouged out. They've been brutally beaten with multiple objects. They have cuts on their thighs and on their butt, and it's just like a ton of blood everywhere. Very gruesome scene. And so they assume that Christine and Leah were also killed, but found them upstairs, locked in a bedroom. It took a few hours, but they got a locksmith to come and open the door, where they found them together naked with a bloody axe in between them. So they're taken to jail, and while they're awaiting trial, like, these girls are acting like they can't be apart from each other, and eventually coerce the officers to let them see each other, where one of the sisters, like, when she sees her other sister, just like unbuttons her clothes and is just like, please say yes, and like they embrace or whatnot. And that's where they discovered that it was more than just a sisterly bond between them. Yeah. So then they go to court. They try to plead insanity, but the doctors, 2 of the 3 doctors, are like, these girls are just faking all their symptoms. And so Christine was kind of the leader in everything. So she was sentenced to the guillotine, but then ended up only having to serve a life sentence. Her younger sister, Leah, was only sentenced 10 years because she kind of just followed whatever her sister told her to do. And once she got out of jail, she got out early, I think at 8 years for good behavior. She changed her name, changed her life, and just disappeared. We don't ever hear about her again. So that's my story.
What was the time frame on this?
1930s.
The murders took place in 1933. They had started working for the family in 1926.
Oh, okay.
So they still had the guillotine in 1933?
Yep.
Yeah, or at least she was sentenced to it, but then they said, never mind, you just serve a life sentence instead.
Wow.
The last execution via guillotine in France was in the 1950s, I believe.
Really?
50s?
Yeah.
We should bring it back. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's a great social deterrent.
Well,
yeah.
You know, so there once was this guy who was going to get executed via firing squad, and the general that was in charge of the execution comes up to him, and he's like, our country's going through a really tough time, and our economic is good, so, and ammunition, do you mind if we rifle butt you to death?
Rifle butt you to death.
Sure, sounds great.
We can't afford ammunition, so we're just going to club you to death with a rifle butt.
Afford ammunition. If that plan works, what you said about the whole technically insanity, I was going to, sound like, what, these people are obviously crazy. I was going to try to do that, like, if I ever, like, get pulled over and get a ticket, just, like, show my bare breath and try to embrace the car.
Well, so I forgot to mention,
how much is
the doctor said that they weren't insane, but the jury decided that they had shared paranoid disorder. So I don't know how they came to that conclusion, but they kind of were, just not by doctors.
So that story, I need to
Well,
get.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was something mental illness going on here, definitely.
Yeah, they're
But
Oh yeah,
all
yeah.
the
That
stuff
kind
like
of that kind of upbringing, and then getting bounced from family to family,
yeah,
and then an orphanage. Yeah, that'll
And
screw a kid up
like
bad.
I think it's definitely because the woman that they worked for like was great at first, but to go through that abuse through your childhood and then be abused at your work and feeling like you can't escape that, like
yeah.
See, I don't even think it was that. I just think that he was living in France with all that smelly damn cheese. They don't shave their armpits or wear any type of deodorant. Who's next?
Well, I forgot to show
The
a
cheese.
picture of the
It's always the
trailer
cheese.
of the Chowchilla trailer, so I was going to show that for you.
I think I'm gonna say like, here's a picture of a Frenchman.
and
This
how
is
many kids were in it?
Look at the afro.
oh god.
He looks like
Let's
Dolomite.
see.
Yeah,
26
look at the top.
kids and a driver.
Yeah, look
Wow.
at the top of that trailer. It's caved in.
Yeah, well, yeah, from the weight of the dirt above it, it's not made for weight.
Yeah, they're not
So,
made for weight.
yeah. So, yep. Anyway, crazy, huh?
I love that guy's afro. He looks like you ever watch
Oh, him?
Dolomite?
What?
You ever watch Dolomite?
No.
You know, he was like a 1970s like black hero on Black Star Cinema. No, what do I know?
Here's another picture of the trailer from the outside.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Look at all. They're over there looking at that whole thing like, well, it was my trailer.
And these,
You know, my aunt Patty, she's about 450. And she hopped on the damn roof one time because she thought a raccoon was up there and came in like that.
It's just that's wow. Yeah, those kids did not have very long at all.
Yeah.
yeah. What you got, Dirty Birdie?
I got
On a happier note.
some ghost stories from different prisons from everywhere.
Okay.
United States anyway.
Cool.
So
My parents were
one of the stories is one night around 1:45 a.m. back when I first started on night shift, I saw an inmate on the top tier day room with just a white t-shirt on staring at me through the day room window. I jumped up from his chair and checked the day room and nobody was there. He checked the doors and they were locked. He went back down to the desk and started writing in his logbook. When he looked up, the same inmate was in the bottom day room laughing at him. He went to the other wing and never went back to that wing alone. So, yeah, so you're sitting at your desk doing your thing and you look up and you see an inmate in a day room that he's not supposed to be in because day rooms are usually shut. I don't know how day rooms work, but they're probably shut down at like what, 6 p.m.
Yeah, it depends on the shift and also like like they have like different levels of like the danger of certain inmates. Like if it's like a level 3, which is like a high security, those things are only open for an hour or two. Then everybody's out there accounted for like before you lock everything down. What I was gonna say is this inmate did he have like Kool-Aid on his lips when he was like smiling at them?
No. I'd be freaked out to be like, okay, everybody's been counting and in their cell, and then there's a guy, and then you went to go check, and then you go back down to the desk, and then he's in the bottom day room, and he's sitting there, and he's like, I would be like, oh, no, I'm leaving.
Oh, damn it. Oh,
So there's another one.
Now on.
No.
Oh, damn it. This is killing me inside. I wish I was a stillborn.
Okay, so there's another one that's There was a female inmate in the segregation unit. One day, when I took over shift, she told me that there was a man standing by her bed at night before, that he was a very, very tall, heavy set, and looked Native American. I told her there's no way, because no man could be in the pod without another female present. She said it. She said it. Yeah. She said she thought it was a dead person. I offered her a Bible and she refused to take it. The next day I came in, she called me to her cell and told me that she'd been hurt by the ghost. She said she was awoken by this figure and she got scared and covered herself in blankets. Then the ghost grabbed her leg and squeezed really hard. She then showed me the handprint on her leg, and I believed her. The female inmate was so tiny, and the handprint was 3 times bigger than her little hand. She then asked for the Bible and requested to be moved from her cell. So I found that really interesting. That
does this say what prison these are at, or
didn't say where this one was at.
In Russia, that's how you flirt with women. You put your leg and see how big of a print you can leave.
And
just like Joseph Stalin.
Okay, so this one's a good one. So while working at a tower at the Garza East unit in Beeville, Texas, I was sitting on a small chair leaning against a bigger chair that looked like an old wooden electric chair. While sitting there, I had my left leg extended and on top of the trap metal door where you enter and exit. After about 30 minutes of peace and quiet, I heard what sounded like someone enter through the door down at the bottom of the tower. Then a minute later, hit or pushed against the trap door so hard that the door lifted a few inches and kicked my leg off the top. I got up quickly, thinking someone was trying to come through and was playing a joke. I turned the light on and opened the door expecting to see someone there. Nobody was there. Just dust that was recently kicked up, blowing into my face as if whoever it was vanished. So
I went to the Texas Prison Museum, which is they have old Sparky in there from Bonnie and Clyde's day.
Yeah, old Sparky.
Yeah, and you can sit in it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Ew, why would you sit in it?
Why not?
I would sit in it. Are you kidding me?
Horrible that energy.
You know what's awesome about old Sparky? That it didn't always function the way it's supposed to, so it wouldn't give you the full voltage. So a lot of the time,
they'd have to do it over and over and over.
Over and over because they just gave you enough of a shock to where, like, you begin to cook, but not enough to kill you. So then they're like, all right, we reposition him. There's a story where there's a story where these guys are getting executed, these 2 prisoners, and they're put on these electric chairs, and it's like, all right, the time is, they give them the time, they sit there, and it's like, okay, are you ready? And then they go and they pull, and nothing happens. And then they're like, huh, I was like, say it again, and they go over there, and they pull it again, and nothing happens. And they try the 3rd time, and then they're like, well, according to our state law, you're free to go. We pulled it 3 times, blah, 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 and then they go. And then the next guy's like, excuse me, can I just hang because this damn electric chair is obviously broken.
Yeah. I thought a dad joke was coming in with the electric chair, and you sit in it and you get recharged.
No, this is not. Come on, getting recharged. This is a serious show. Come on, we're talking about kidnapping. We're talking about ghosts. We're talking about Russian flirting, and you're gonna go over there with a dad joke. Birdie, you are working for the CIA, and you're put here to drive me crazy. And I'm going in one of my rants again. I'm just gonna cut it off right now. Okay. Anything else?
That's how you know it's working. That's how you know I'm working.
Dirty Bird?
You crazy.
You have more?
Hey, what's up, fool?
Do you have more, Dirty Bird?
Yeah, I got a few more.
Okay.
So here's one where I came in on overtime on midnight shift at 3 a.m. I wound up doing 15-minute medical cell checks. 3 weeks earlier, we had a hanger. On my fourth pass, I see a young male hanging in the cell. I called on the radio for control center to open the door and turn on the cell lights. When they did, he disappeared. I then realized what cell I was at. When I returned by the control center, they asked if everything was okay. Apparently, I looked a little pale from my experience because my lieutenant asked me if I saw him, and I said yes. He said the rest of the staff was working at the unit have seen him too. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for them to just call them hangers.
Hangers.
Yeah.
I wonder if
I was not prepared.
that's what they labeled them before they got in the cell because they're wearing like all clothes, and it's like, oh, we got them. And I will be the night, and I will fall over again. He's like, oh, we're gonna find him in the morning. You'll see.
So another one is, while I was working at the main gate post at St. Mary's Correctional Center in West Virginia, a facility that used to be a home for mentally ill children, I saw tiny handprints about the size of a toddler appear halfway up the glass, about face level of a 6-foot person. The handprints were in a perfectly straight line across the windows. It was midweek, no visitors, in the middle of the night. So, yeah, whatever the main gate post is. So I couldn't imagine like sitting in a chair with a plate glass window and you're doing your thing, and all of a sudden you just see little handprints going bloop, 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 across the window.
You know what you were? If all of a sudden, like, prints, like, you're like, what?
Butt prints.
Yeah, like those damn pervert. Pervert ghost. Ah, damn it.
Oh, yeah. The gross janitor ghost is at it again.
The janitor with the one eye and the limp.
So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for me.
All right, Decon, you're up.
I'm nervous. I'm getting stage. I'm gonna do a dumb joke where I'm like, yeah, well, his wife calls him detective because he always walks around with a limp. Anyway, nothing. Okay. All right. So, okay, it's gonna be a stupid story. I'm sorry, guys. It's stupid, unless you're like from that area. So in El Salvador, we have like this. So they have like 12 families. They're kind of like richest and most powerful families and all this stuff. So they each have like their own story. But the most famous one is a family called La Familia Guirola. And the story goes, there's many different versions of the story. But the mansion is there. The remaining female family members, some of them are alive. And so the story goes that these people move to El Salvador when in the 1800s, and some stories even say earlier than that, like 1700s. They move there, and they're impoverished, and they're trying to start a coffee plantation, and they can't get it to kick off, and then they're desperate, and then one of the patriarchs of the family, he's like, I'm gonna go find a solution. So he leaves. He comes back with his Jamaican wife. Her name was
Solution.
Huh?
Her name was Solution. She was the Solution.
Alexander. So that was her name. Very good. Look at you. So the version of the story is that she goes and she's like, okay, I have so many damn versions of this story. I'm trying to find the most entertaining one, my favorite one. So one of the versions is that he made a deal. He's like, look, I got this ritual. And once we do this ritual, we're going to become rich. And he's like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So they go and they perform this ritual, and part of this deal is this demonic entity comes up and he's like, I will make you rich. I will give you power, but in exchange, I want the male children of each generation. Of your generation. The guy goes, deal. All of a sudden, everything takes off. He makes so much money from trade. People are coming over. They're giving him way more money over his shitty coffee beans, and he makes all this money. And then they built this giant mansion. And they built this giant mansion, and then this mansion is dedicated to these demonic entities. Because when you go in there, there's a demon mentioned in the Bible, in the Gospel of Matthew. It's called Mammon is one of the names. Or Mammon, it depends on that.
Mammon.
Or, no, he's like money. He loves money and he loves wealth, and he's like a demonic entity of greed. So there's a room that they dedicated to this guy by like putting like silver coins like all over the ceiling, and a lot of rituals would basically happen here where people would disappear. People that would work for them would only work there for like about a week, and all of a sudden they went missing. This was going on. So, anyways, so then very slowly the family becomes cursed. It doesn't matter which way the next generation came up. The first male always died. Whether it was a car accident, a shooting, suicide, mauled by a dog. It doesn't matter. They all died. So eventually, there was so few of these family members that they just like abandoned ship. Basically, they left. The mansion is empty, and they say that the mansion is protected by dark magic. Like there was so much like evil taking place, and they still have caretakers there. They'll go and they make sure that everything's clean, and they hear like. Also, there's a story where sorry, all over the place because it's so much. I heard the story. So there's a story where a lady gave birth to a like demon human, and his wails were so loud that you could hear them for miles as this creature screamed. So the caretakers or the groundskeepers are going around at night, and they swear that they can hear like this creature scream at night coming from the house. So they had a massive earthquake. Right? So this is like it adds more to the legend than to the mystique. The whole thing. So there was El Salvador is known as the land of earthquakes. Because of the volcanoes. So there's always earthquakes. Everybody, like, when you think of Salvador, you think earthquakes, So, also jungles, like, people, they're animals. Don't even. So then, what was my point? Anyway, so the earthquakes will hit everything, and houses will fall down, and this house always remains standing. Floods, this house remains standing, and then one day there's a massive earthquake. Giant landslide comes in, kills over 1,000 people, injured, how many, and it's running over houses. And before it gets to the guirola mansion, like it splits in half and like leaves the house untouched. So you have those pictures there.
I have this one picture that I was able to find.
So you zoom in, so we're like it splits.
Right up here. Or is it down here?
Okay, so there's two. That's the thing. There's two. There's one the first one you pointed at. That's a mansion. Yeah. It stops right there in the last side, and then the second one is
around it.
Yep, it goes, and then that's the second one. So like,
that's nuts.
So it goes around it and like keeps destroying houses around. So it was like one of the things where even when they had like people that were in charge of cleaning up the mess. They had to bring in like special people because they didn't know. And I don't mean like special people like, anyway. So they had special people come in to clean up, and they refused to step on the ground. We're not going there.
Well, which one is the actual mansion you're talking about? This one up here?
No, the actual mansion is the one up top.
This one?
Yeah. The lower one, that was like a guest house, basically. That's where they threw parties, they threw all kinds of things, special events, was the one at the bottom. The one
down here?
Yeah, the one at the top, that's the one where they lived in. So
with the room with the money and all that?
Yeah, yep. So that was their main house. The one in the bottom, that's like their party house, basically. And both of them were spared by this,
Yeah, well, you can see, I mean, based on this, that I don't know how many hundreds of homes that were probably wiped out here. There's a lot.
Yeah, that if you're a believer, then that's some dark magic that just protected that house of earthquakes, mudslides, whatever. You just it's coming down, and it just nope.
It goes around. Like, I'm gonna destroy these houses over here.
Yeah, there isn't. It's funny because I was looking at this earlier, and I can't, unless there's. I was like, geologically, you look at this, and it should have just kept sliding here.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Yeah.
So a lot of witches will actually go close to the house as possible to get some of that magic. So they'll stand there.
You're trying to leech power from the house.
From these grounds, and even though a lot of them are trespassing, the cops don't want to arrest them. We can't do it. So just leave it. So it's just stuff like that. That's my thing. There's a lot more. I gotta do a whole episode, maybe on Patreon.
The demon baby sounds like the Jersey Devil story.
Yeah.
A little bit to me.
Oh, yeah.
The Jersey Devil. Hey, you're in Jersey,
Remember, however you say Jersey Devil in Salvadorian or whatever it was.
De Jersey. No jodas.
Okay.
That's how you say it. And you gotta go.
I know some of those words, and
well, that's how you.
I know some of those words, man.
Well, that's how you say it, man. Come on, don't judge me. I'm feeling judged. I wish I was now in that container. So yeah, I mean, to this very day, they're trying to. Maybe so they have family members. Like there was an interview with this lady. I was like 97 years old, and and a lot of the survivors are females because the females would not be killed off. It was the guy, that would die off. They got equality. So so the females would remain alive, and one of the oldest living people she was 97 years old and telling the story. She was a little girl, and then all these people and it was like creepy, like people that would go into the house. They were like wrong, and they would come in the house, and everybody had to leave, and they had to leave. It was all kinds of different. So I'll do the episode. I'll put it up on Patreon, like the history of it and all that.
What is the town there?
Okay, so the town is Santa Tecla.
How do you spell not the town, not Santa? What? How do you spell it?
Tecla.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that's it. Well, I'd like to find out. I'd like to see if I can find more pictures on it.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
One day we'll have an international nightmare road.
Hey.
And then
there's no borders on the nightmare road.
There's no borders. We ain't going. We don't need.
There's no borders on the nightmare road. That's actually good. I like it.
Yeah, let's make it. Yeah, so we can all go and probably, except for me, you guys will probably get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm still attached to my corporeal form right now.
Oh.
These stories from there are fascinating to me, and that there's such a strong belief system there.
I tell the story like on the show, or was this like a private thing about the lady that was a witch and she killed her 6-year-old daughter with a machete because she wanted to? Did I say that on the show?
I don't remember if you did it on the show or not. I don't know.
So
I think you did.
Oh, then never mind then. Yeah, what do I know?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you were talking about a lot of different stories from El Salvador, and you were talking about that.
Yeah, so,
but a while ago.
Just in case.
Yes.
There's two things I want to say. We'll end this show. Anyway, so two things I want to say. One of them is this lady killed her daughter with a machete, attacked her 10-year-old son, then attacked her 15-year-old daughter, and only the little girl died through this machete attack. They called the police. the police refuse to go inside because this lady's a witch. And then they're like, we can't go in there, and they all are surrounding this whole place. They don't feel safe, so they bring in a guy to go in there and like disrupt her magic. Go in there and arrest her. So this guy shows up and he's like destroying like altars, all kinds of shit, and then finally, like once he gives them like the thumbs up, then the cops are like, okay, now we can go arrest her. And they arrested her, and pretty sure they had to like wear blessed gloves and all kinds of shit just so they could put their hands on her. And the second, I might cover this on another. I could either do it on this or just on Patreon. But another famous witch was I think her name is Maria Pancha. What's her name? She has like her own cave, and she's a famous witch. There's a bounty on her head, but everybody's too afraid to go near her cave and her. And I'm not just saying this, anyways, everybody's afraid to go near her cave or her little hillside. They even call it El Monte de la Pancha, and everybody's afraid to step there because she's still out there and she's eating kids. But there's a bounty on her head, and they believe that one day some brave man that is immune to her incantations will go in there into her cave and kill her and then drag out her corpse to be burned.
It's amazing. Do you know of? I mean, are there other countries in Central America that have as much? I don't know how to say this, but as much. No,
lore.
but I mean, the belief system and the legends are so strong.
I would say lore.
Lore, yeah.
So what's crazy is that there might be some more stories like in places like Honduras and Costa Rica and all those kind of countries, but El Salvador, they have a whole place. Damn it, now I can't remember the damn name of the place. Izalco. So you have this state in El Salvador. It's called Izalco, and Izalco in the old Nahuatl language literally means the land of the warlocks or land of the witches. And people that believed in this kind of stuff, or they were like practicing witches, would actually travel to this place because they believed that the magic is on the soil itself. So at some point in history, you had people from Guatemala, some people from southern Mexico actually go to that place just to get retarded or to take soil like in a bag or in a jar and like take it.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
So yeah, it's going to be in my book. Anyways, so and what's crazy is if you go to this place and you look at the history, even to this very day, there's people out there that will go, have religion that has like witchcraft or the shamans or that kind of stuff, and they'll go and they'll take rocks, they'll take dirt, they'll take water from this area because supposedly it's all soul of man.
Interesting.
Yeah, that sounds taking dirt with you when you leave sounds real familiar around here.
I was gonna say it sounds like what those damn Nazis did in World War II, or as I like to call it, WW2, when we took over.
Now, yeah, there used to be a curiosity shop that used to sell jars of dirt from Pocatello.
That was me.
Actually, I've read about that. Dirt, yeah.
It's part of the curse here.
What?
Yeah, well, it's probably all full of uranium from the mines, so
It was a thing way before that. Yeah.
Well, I have sand from Ireland and I have ashes from Mount St. Helens. So, yeah.
Oh, that's
anyway, it's pretty interesting. I love this. I love your stories, Decom, because I've never read about them. But I just was never exposed to any of those stories. So it's pretty fascinating to me.
Yeah, I like hearing
today. It's so
lore from other countries.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Well, we're a melting pot, right, of so many different places, and I think we lose a lot of that because of it. We've lost a lot of those customs, traditions, lore, because we try to, we're American now. It's like, okay, that's
right.
great,
And
but still
That's
you
right.
have the Viking customs and the Celtic customs and the Mexican you have all of this stuff, and it's I hope at some point we don't lose all of that, all of the stories and customs and traditions of all of the places.
yeah,
So
and the further we go along, all the old heads are
the
dying and
old
passing
heads.
on. Sorry, but yeah, all the old heads are dying and passing on, and we're losing those oral
Yeah, we do.
traditions.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
You
Well,
said the
I
word
thought
head.
this was
That's a very
I thought this was fun. I think it's fun when we all present a different topic. So
Yeah,
anyway.
it's man. You know, I think that this might be the best show out on the interweb. So if you say, so let's say that you have a family member that is like horribly depressed. Oh, he's a hanger. You know, he's a hanger.
He's an anger. Yeah.
What? What?
Haywire's losing it.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Night in a Row. Of course, we're going to be hosting. You know, hey, why is Dirty Birdie? Like,
Like and subscribe. Like.
You know, hang this up with it.
No.
I'm joking. And remember, guys, to always look both ways.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
I'm not waving.